Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are currently moving our pad over to our colony. Of course, we're not quite in orbit of Kerbin yet, are we? I don't think we're in orbit. Oh, we are technically in orbit. We need to circularize it, but we are in orbit here. So that's absolutely fine. Let's go ahead and warp on forward. We've got about 6 minutes at this point to start our burn. And let's see. Yeah, our Communitron is extended, so that all looks good. We don't want to extend these photovoltaic panels at this time. So that will be absolutely fine. We've got about 50 seconds here. 40, 30, 20, 10, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay, so that'll kick us up into our full orbit and basically use our entire booster fuel. Not quite, but incredibly close. This is good enough. I don't actually care about burning that extra 1 meter per second. This really doesn't matter. We're in a good enough orbit at this point. So, now we're going to need to make our way out. I wonder what the odds are that we're in an actually good transfer window. The answer is they're extremely poor. Extraordinarily poor odds at that one. Okay, so let's see how this is going to look. Actually, this might not be the worst transfer window. It's actually kind of okay. I mean, we could toss in a little radial if we really wanted to. And get something kind of like this. I mean, that's like 600 meters per second radial. Do we care, though? Look at how much delta V we have. Like, that's kind of insane. So, we're not currently showing an encounter. We can just try to dial this in a little bit. There's an encounter. We can fine-tune that once we escape Kerbin. I mean, that seems reasonable to me. Sure, it's quite a bit of DV that we probably don't want to burn. It's not a perfect transfer window, but I shouldn't say that we don't want to burn that. We don't have to burn that. Oh, look, we're in an eclipse. That's cool. We don't have to burn it, but honestly, we may as well. I think there's no reason not to. So let's just get ourselves oriented here. We're going to very, very slowly turn our poor reaction wheel. It's trying so hard. And as of right now, our electric charge is dropping, but that's because we are currently eclipsed. So that's not terribly surprising. We've got a pretty big battery as well, so no major concern there. Okay, this is a slow turn. I'm not gonna lie. This is a very slow turn. So that's good to know. We're gonna have to do a pretty hefty turn here, though, so I guess I will be back once we've finished this turn. It's not like there's much going to be happening, so see you guys in a moment. Okay, so here we are turned, and at this point we've got about 3 minutes. We'll warp on forward. This is going to be a pretty long burn, but the first little bit of the burn is going to go very, very quick. We've got 7 meters per second left here, so that's interesting. Also, we're going to burn through 2 of these full tanks, it looks like. That's interesting. It's absolutely fine, though. That doesn't matter to us, so that seems okay. We're going to start this burn in about 40 seconds here. Make that 30, 20, 10, and 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay, there goes that first segment of the burn. I'm going to turn down the gimbal limit on this guy down to about 10%. There we go. We just don't want it gimbaling too much. A little gimbal is fine, but we don't want too much gimbal. I'm noticing there's definitely some rocking happening here. But it seems manageable. I wonder how that's going to go in physics warp. What if we bring this down to a 1% gimbal limit? Interesting. Okay, well, that's definitely interesting. Let's see how this goes in physics warp. That's 2x. 3x. And that's 4x. Honestly, I feel like we can't physics warp this. which is obnoxious. That means that this burn is going to be lengthy. It was going to be lengthy anyway, to be clear. But yikes. Okay. That's going to be very lengthy. So I'm going to pin this guy open. I'm going to have to stage as soon as these tanks are empty, right? Because we'll be carrying these tanks with us still, but we'll jettison these. So that's definitely going to be a very long burn indeed. But I feel like we lose too much in terms of our attitude if we're in physics warp. It's just a little too bendy up here. This was the problem that I expected to have, to be clear, but it didn't manifest in our testing. But I suppose I never tested this component, and the reason why was because I expected this component to be far more stable than the ascent stage. It should have been. The center of thrust is much closer. It's a lower thrust. I would have expected that this would be significantly more stable. It's less stable, but that's fine. This is workable. We can work with this, but it's going to take a while to get these burns done without physics warp. That's okay. That's not the end of the world. So I guess once again, I will be back after we're finished with this burn. It's going to be another 5.5 minutes. Okay, so here we are, not quite done with this burn yet. As you can see, we're still over Kerbin. We just shifted over into escape camera mode. So we have now escaped Kerbin, but we still have more burning to do here. As you can see, we are about to finish up this set of fuel tanks. So that's going to be a big chunk of our fuel gone, but that's absolutely fine. We know this is okay. So no problem whatsoever there. And then we're going to escape Kerbin, and we're going to look to do our fine-tuning after we've escaped Kerbin. That's going to be the goal here. So let's wrap up these tanks. We've got about 2 seconds of burn time left, 0.28 thrust to weight, and with those gone, 0.3. That's nice. I like it. So that's absolutely fine. And of course, next up, we've got all this burn, but we're basically done at this point with our burn. We've got about 20 meters per second left to go. We're chasing this node a little bit, and that's fine for now. We're very, very close to having this complete. I'm going to call this probably good enough, and we'll fine-tune this once we get out there. 0.5 meter per second might have a pretty sizable impact. Yeah, that's okay. Let's just warp on forward, and we'll fine-tune this once we are out of the sphere of influence of Kerbin. So off we go. Okay, so we're out of the sphere of influence of Kerbin as of now. Let's pull out a time warp, and we're going to want to do this here fairly soon, as in like 40 minutes. That's plenty of time. So that looks good, and we're going to need to alter our overall trajectory a little bit. Other direction? Other direction. Okay. So just going to want to bring this in about like that, and now let's see what that encounter actually is. Okay. So we're definitely going to want to dial that in a little bit. So let's toss in a little bit of anti-normal, bringing ourselves up to be relatively flat to this plane. Doesn't have to be perfect, but pretty close is good. Okay, now I want to bring in our encounter a lot closer, and we can see because of the radialness of this encounter, we're not getting very bent here. This is a very, very, very fast encounter. Not necessarily surprising at all. So we're coming in this direction, and Ike is going this direction. We'll be going this direction. This is currently retrograde motion. So let's go ahead and turn that around. And I'd like to just alter that. Ooh, this is basically perfect right here. So as we can see, we're pretty inclined still. We can alter that somewhat. Yeah, that's decent. But this is not a very bent orbit. And this, of course, is because of when we're coming in. If you look at our orbit here, you can see that, here we go. You can see that our apoapsis is here. We're going to be falling towards it, and we're going to be coming in pretty fast here. Really, we want to be encountering at the apoapsis, but we have enough fuel. I'm not concerned about this at all. We'll have a good long amount of time to burn here too. So that looks good. Let's align to that node. And that's going to be here in about 40 minutes. Oh, we're so wiggly. Why are we so wiggly now? This was so much stronger before. It's not the hinge. It's, in fact, the connection between the remote guidance unit and the rechargeable battery. Is it the reaction wheel? Do we need to turn down the reaction wheel? No. We just have an oscillation that's not caused by any forces. Well, there's only one thing to call that. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a Kraken. Okay, we're going to turn on the wheel authority again, and we're just going to deal with it. So we're going to warp forward here. This is going to be about a 40-minute warp until we get to our burn point. And this is going to be 371.8 meters per second of alteration. That's actually more than I expected, but it's fine. I mean, we do need to toss in quite a lot of radial to get this done, so it's fine. Absolutely okay. Have you seen how much DV we have here? And this isn't even counting what's in the launch pad. So there's that. Okay, we've got about a minute here. 40 seconds, 30, 20, and 10, and 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 mark. Okay, let's get that going. So yeah, this is not caused by any force at this point. This is just a Kraken. There's not anything we can do about this. Unless this has... Oh, this has a reaction wheel in it. I didn't realize that. That's probably the problem. Yeah, that's the issue. If that's the issue, does that mean that we can now physics warp? Yep. Okay. That was the issue. Good, 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 good. I didn't realize this had a reaction wheel in it. But yeah, that seems great. Now that we know that it does have a reaction wheel in it, this is perfect. Problem solved. I was always intending on just using this reaction wheel, so it's all good. Okay, we need to hit this very precisely. So I'm coming out of physics warp here. Okay, I'm going to turn up the gimbal here. And we're just going to chase this node a little bit here on a very, very low thrust. Okay, chasing the node. 0.7 meters per second. I'm going to call that good enough. How are we doing? Not good enough. Okay. Yep, we need to continue to burn this direction a little bit. I'm going to thrust limit us down. So we're down to 0.5% of thrust here. And let's just bring this guy out because we know that we need to be... Oh, that's weird. I didn't expect that to happen. What are we doing right now? Let's move this over to prograde and see what happens. We're on a collision course at this moment, and we don't want to be on a collision course. I just want to get this thing around to where we're going prograde with Ike. We don't have to be in a perfect inclination, and I don't think we're going to be at this point. So we'll see what this ends up looking like. This is taking us back out to retrograde. Okay, so we need to flip this around to retrograde. Now we know the direction we're going. So that all looks good. Let's get this flipped. And we can try to do an inclination change, but to be honest, I don't think I care. I think we'll just do our inclination change once we get there. This is a lot more bent of an orbit than we maybe expected. We'll see what that looks like once we get it pulled out. But this is bent very thoroughly from the impact trajectory. We'll see what it looks like once we're properly out over here. Okay, so we need to raise this on up a little bit. Cool. And we're just going to park this at about 55. Yeah, something like this. This is more like what I expected to see. So at this point, we can see we're in an okay inclination, actually. This is not bad. We can do an inclination change once we get there, but that is really quite good. And then this is, of course, just going to be a retrograde burn, and it's going to be a pretty hefty one. As we can see, this is going to be a 2-day burn, but we're thrust limited. We'll need to change that here in a moment. So it's going to be, that's about a 3-day burn, but if we unthrust limit, it's a 5-minute burn. So, I mean, that's not too bad. That will burn through basically all of the fuel we've got in these tanks, but that's fine. That's what this fuel is here for. So that seems great. I'm going to make a quick save in case something really strange happens here when I warp. We'll see. This should not change at all when we warp, but we want to be locked to the node. So let's go ahead and physics warp here for a little bit while we turn. There we go. Something about like that. And now we can warp. No change whatsoever to our periapsis. I like it. So that looks good, and we'll just auto-warp our way on in. We shouldn't have any issue whatsoever, in theory, with our... Where is our life support in here? It's in here. Okay. We shouldn't have any issue whatsoever with our life support. We should be completely good to go on that. So there's no problem there. We just need to get this thing in, and then we can start building things at the base. We're going to build the habitation module on site, get that linked up, and then we're probably going to call this done at that point. Because at that point, we're able to build whatever we need on site, and it essentially becomes a really, really, really janky Kraken-filled city builder. So at that point, I mean, sure, that is kind of fun, but also this series has been going on for a very long time. So that's kind of the plan. I don't anticipate this series lasting more than a couple more episodes, so that will be absolutely wonderful. For now, let's bring this right on in. We should be getting quite close. We're about 120 days away. We just hit our apoapsis in this orbit, and we're falling down towards our encounter. And you can see our orbital velocity is increasing as we fall, which makes sense. And this is why this is a less efficient encounter, because we're not encountering at the apoapsis, but I just wanted to use the encounter window we had, not the encounter window we wanted. It's all good. Okay, so here we come, and we are almost in position for this burn now. So we are not in orbit around Duna, but we are at Duna at this point. No inclination change required, and no significant maneuvers. Well, there was a significant maneuver in interstellar space there, but it was a correction. It wasn't so much a full-on burn. So that was pretty cool. We've got about 30 seconds here until this burn, and this is going to be a pretty long burn. So we've got 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. And this isn't quite going to use all of the fuel in these tanks, but it's going to be close. We'll do an inclination change, make sure that we're exactly in plane with Ike. That's one of the best ways that we have to make sure that we hit our target. And other than that, we've got quite a lot of fuel left over for this. So we could theoretically just bring our orbital velocity to 0, get rid of all horizontal velocity, drop straight down. That is a theoretical possibility. I don't know that it's a good possibility, but it's a possibility. Of course, we do have that slight flipping over problem, but we know that we can unflip it once we get there, if we do flip over. And landing on this is actually not an issue. So that should be reasonably fine. Now, we can actually physics warp this burn, and we should do so. We have a little bit of oscillation that happens here, but it's not nearly as bad as when that reaction wheel was active. So that sounds good. We can just physics warp this burn, get ourselves slowed right on down. So that's looking great. And this burn is going to continue for a while. We, of course, do have fairly low thrust to weight here, and this is not surprising. So we've got about 3 minutes of burn time left here, and where actually are we? We're basically over the base, aren't we? Nope, the base is on the other side of the planet. Okay. I knew our base was in a biome that's kind of like this, but it's on literally the other side of the planet, so that's okay. I mean, it wouldn't have changed anything. I still would have done this burn and probably gone around another time before we go in for a landing. So that's all looking great. We're definitely going to do a little bit of an inclination change here. But we've got about 250 meters per second left in this braking burn. We're definitely in orbit of Duna at this time. So let's pop out of physics warp, take a look at where we are right now, and yeah, that's looking pretty decent. About 130 meters per second to go here. Perfect. We could stop this burn and do our inclination change, fly around another time. It would probably be a little bit more efficient to do that, because we're getting pretty far away from our periapsis for this burn at this point. I mean, our periapsis is moving with us, but pretty far away from our target periapsis point, right? And that's fine. I'm not concerned about the delta V here. We've got so much. Okay, just need a little bit more here, but it doesn't really matter all that much. I'm just getting us around to there, calling it good. So this is technically within the atmosphere, so I'm going to do a little bit of a correction here. And this is because it was such a long burn. Okay, so we'll just do something like this, and then we'll do one more correction. So let's bring this over to the node. And this is going to pull our periapsis up out of the atmosphere, and then we'll do a retrograde burn at the periapsis if we can turn in time. We'll see. We've got 17 meters per second on this correction, and we've got 42 meters per second left in these tanks. It's not much, but it's definitely a little bit. Okay, so we're going to do this burn in about 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. I'm going to call that good, and we're going to move this around to retrograde. Okay. It's going to be dicey, but we're making good time on this, I think. This is pretty close. Let's call this good enough, and let's just start bringing that apoapsis on back to about there. Perfect. That'll do. So we find ourselves in a nice, relatively circular orbit here. I'm now going to set Ike as our target, and that's for our inclination purposes. So we can see we're at a 2.5 degree angle, so I definitely want to correct our inclination here. So let's just go ahead and do so. That's going to be about here or so. Yeah, that'll do just fine. So we'll go ahead and lock to that node. That's going to be 40 meters per second of correction there. Not too bad. And that'll be in about 4 minutes. So that sounds good. So we'll just orient ourselves right on around here. We've got about 4 minutes to that. And let's warp forward. We're close to the marker, but we're not right on it. That's okay. Okay, we'll warp a little closer. 40 seconds. 30. 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Ditching those tanks. We're definitely a little over gimbaled here. Let's turn down that gimbal a fair amount. And we'll call that good enough. We should be at 0.0. Yeah, fantastic. So now we could go in for our base. Unfortunately, the sun is going down over here, and I'd rather the sun be coming up. So that means we're going to have to warp around a fair number of times. So we're going to do exactly that. Let's just go ahead and start warping here. It's going to be quite a number of warps. That was a lot of orbits there, but it wasn't quite enough. Let's do another couple of them. Okay, so this is now coming up, and we can start thinking about an encounter that's going to be something kind of like, this is going to be too far out, but something that's kind of like this, but this is going to need to be moved to be maybe about here or so. We'll need to warp over this way and see what the final orbit is going to end up looking like. That's going to be pretty close. But it is about time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, yeah, we're going to want to move this way a little bit. Next episode, we are going to see about bringing this in for a landing. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Rornaz, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.